you. I'm Ryan. We haven't met before. I would like to say hello to you before you leave, but my name is Ryan. I'm one of the directors of LFE Hoops. So just thanks for coming out. We appreciate the fact that you're here, that you took time out. I know that we kind of push this as a thing that we really want you to do. And we're serious about that just because one of the things that happens a lot of times in youth sports programs is that depending on who your kid's coach is, you could have a vastly different experience. And that's just one of those things that is a fact of youth sports. So we try to get everybody on the same page as much as possible and just make sure that every kid that is part of our program has the best possible experience. So in general, the overarching philosophy of LFE Hoops is that it's our kids first. So, and I say our kids because mine are 6 and 8 and we both play in the league, and so we definitely are here for them. So thank you so much for being here, and thanks so much for volunteering to coach. It's a reality again that we cannot even do this without people like you who volunteer their time. So we appreciate it. I'd like to give you a round of applause for that. I like the spirit in the back there, clapping it up. Just some background with us. This program was started a little over 4 years ago, sort of as a response to some people who were not happy with the state of the former program. I've been coaching and teaching in the district for 12 years, and I became sort of the sounding board for a lot of those complaints. And as those complaints were lobbed at me over and over again, my response was always, what do you want to do? Like, there's lots of people who are complaining to me about the way things are for the girls in the community, but I haven't really heard any solutions yet. So that same year I met Mark Papp, who just stepped down last year as one of our directors, and that same year I also happened to become pretty good friends with Dave over there, and we basically just were like, all right, well, see what we can do here. Started a GoFundMe, had a lot of great people who helped us out, filed as a nonprofit, got that in August, opened registration at the end of August, and registered 250 girls the first year that we did this. So we're hovering around the 478-ish mark right now. So so the program has grown every year. Just in terms of things that we are still up against, as Mike will talk about when we talk about practice time and schedule time and stuff like that, gym time is always at a major premium. It's very difficult to get gym time. And in general, the places that you want to have a basketball program in the district, we don't really have gym time there. All right, we'll also spend close to $20,000 this year renting gym time that's outside of the district. So that's something that we really haven't had to do before. But as you grow, those are some of the things that you just run into. So in terms of gym time at places that you want to play basketball, we have a total of 6 hours per week. That 6 hours is right here at William Penn on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and aside from that, we don't have anything that you would call a desirable gym. So we're going to ask you for your patience and your grace when it comes to dealing with our space issues, and understand that they're not of our doing, and it's not of our choice. So we are hoping that as Penwood is reopened next year, we get some help from people over there who realize, hey, wait, it's not quite fair what happens to the girls who play in this program. So hopefully that comes through, and if that doesn't come through, then there's a very good chance that we may ask you at some point in the near future to attend a school board meeting wearing your LFE gear to sort of voice our concerns with some of the inequality that exists within the district for the girls who live here. So growing up, I never obviously experienced what it's like to be a girl playing sports, but as my older daughter has sort of come up through the ranks here, it's become increasingly obvious that the opportunities for the girls are not comparable to what the boys receive. If any of you have boys and girls, I'm sure you may be running into this. Just for example, my daughter plays softball also. There wasn't even a thought given as to whether or not they were going to offer them an all-star team this year, despite the fact that her team had won the district the year before. And not until I pissed a bunch of people off at the Little League that we play at did that actually happen. So it's just a fact and a sad reality that the girls are still kind of up against it. We kind of do it to ourselves also. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I certainly have. People just tend to expect less from the girls. They don't think that they want it quite as badly as the boys. And if that is the opinion of people. I always just question, I don't know what girls you come into contact with, but I don't know any of those girls. So as the team that I've coached, the travel team that I've coached, and even as I look at my daughter and stuff like that, they are as competitive and as crazy about this and as dedicated to this as anybody that I know. And if you ever question that, you're more than welcome to come watch my 8th grade travel team practice. I practice with them on Monday, I scrimmage with them on Monday. I was dead for a good 2 days. The pace at which they play, the physicality with which they played, the intensity with which they played, and I only had 3 girls there. So again, one thing that I'll ask you to do as coaches is to continually push them to do things when you look at practice and when you think about practice. When you plan practice, plan things that you think that they're not going to be able to do. And then sit back and watch as they do them. And they do it over and over and over again. Kevin, who his team practiced with my team a couple times last year in the 2-3 division, every practice I've given them at least 2 things that I would say, listen, I don't think they're going to be able to do this. This is going to be these guys. Watch this. And then we show it, and we demonstrate it, and we do it, and lo and behold, 5 minutes later, like, look at these guys. This is awesome. So, again, just the expectation for the girls should be extremely high. They'll rise as you raise the bar. I also want to introduce some people who are part of what makes this program go round and makes this thing work. And this is Mike Davis over here. Mike has probably been in contact with you a lot. Mike does a ton of work behind the scenes. There's no one who whips together a spreadsheet quite like Mike does. So Mike is a spreadsheet making wizard. And
it's a lot of fun at parties.
a lot of what we do cannot be done without Mike. So I want to introduce Mike and give him a round of applause also. Over there in the back with the bright orange shorts is the hype man. That's Coach Costanzo. So if you've ever been in the gym with him, there's no bigger hype man for LFE than Mr. C is. I wish I had some energy from him. That's Coach Doan over there. He helps out with all our travel program. He's around. You'll probably see him sitting somewhere in the corner by himself, observing, which is what he tends to do. I'm going to ask Mike to come up also and just introduce some other folks who help us make this program happen. So go ahead.
All right, so I just wanted to introduce you guys to my best friends in the world this time of year, your division directors. So if you'll come up so we can get names with faces in case you all don't know each other. So we've got Colin Schmidt, who is the 4-5 director. Scott Miguez, the 6-7 director. Darla Outcall, the high school director. And currently camera shy, John Templeton, who probably most people know, but he's the 2nd and 3rd grade division director. So these folks, like I said, they're really my best friends. They're really my best friends in life at this point. They're really, they've been in touch with you, I'm sure. So some of the things that they're involved in, I'm sure you understand. Recruitment, coach recruitment, getting you all here tonight. Great job. Scheduling, roster construction. We'll go over that in a second. Lining up coaches. They're also resources for you, right? If you're struggling with, hey, how do I implement Read and React? I can't, I'm just stuck on a certain point. They all have really great coaching experience. They're more than willing to help. That's honestly why they volunteered to help us out in this respect. They're just good people who have really given a lot of their time, and I just wanted to take a second to recognize them. So appreciate the applause there. So they're kind of like our second line of defense. You all will be our first line of defense with any type of player, parent issues, whatever. But if you get something and you're not really sure how to deal with it, let us know. Let us know. Honestly, we're here to help. We all have the best interests of the girls in mind. That's where all of this stems from. Ryan alluded to it before. We can't really stress it enough. Just want to go into a little bit of roster construction. So, yeah, I have a lot of spreadsheets about your daughters and stuff like that, and that's probably kind of creepy, but again, it's aimed at competitive balance. It's really the key to our league.
If they've been here since kindergarten, we've been tracking them since kindergarten. That's a true story.
Exactly. We may or may not have staked out some preschools. That's not confirmed.
We do recon.
I know a 1-year-old personally that I've been taking an interest in.
Exactly. Big wingspan.
Yeah.
Walked at an early age.
Good,
Quick twitch athlete.
very good measurables.
We joke, but
seriously.
we try the best we can. I mean, I will say this. I will say the overarching theme of how we go about it is we take every reasonable measure and then 2 or 3 to try to get competitive teams. So we ask coaches. We'll be asking you all later this year. Please rate your girls on scoring, aggression, size, defense, passing, ball handling. Then we have an algorithm. Maybe not such an algorithm, but then we have all those ratings. We'll, put them together. We'll also take Ryan and Dave's observations from camp. I was putting something together last night for the 4th and 5th grade, and what we always struggle with, because our program's growing, which thank God, right? But it also adds, 100 plus girls to the mix who we didn't know until this season. But I'm looking at a spreadsheet that Colleen put together, and just want to talk about recon. It was crazy. I was looking through all this stuff, and it was a competitive athlete, plays soccer, whatever, taekwondo, one of these, I was like, wow, we're working on a whole nother level here. So we go into it, we do the best that we can. We certainly take into account, conflict nights. That's been a big thing. Just being a grown-up, and as a parent, right, and get a 6 o'clock time or something like that on a Tuesday, and it's like, oh, my daughter has CCD, I can't do that. It was really I wanted to bring something like that where I'm not going to manage to, or we're not going to manage to, well, we can only practice Tuesday at 6:30, but if you tell us you can't practice Tuesday, we're going to honor that. And then what we figured out, because the worst thing in the world is to have these rosters and then to have to go and make aftermarket switches. They're just painful. And so we try to do everything we can up front to limit that. So we have, I think you've seen emails from Ryan about a conflict change night. So, you might have registered in August, and you said Thursday's no good, but now come fall, Mondays are no good. So at least you have an avenue to do that. So all aimed at fewer aftermarket switches and everything like that. So timing of things. So we basically got, about the 500 girls registered at this point. This group is going to be putting together the teams over the weekend, and we'll get a first pass of that out to everybody, get that out to coaches early next week. What we're going to ask you to do is turn that around on a dime, email it right away out to the parents. We're going to give you, all you're going to do is copy and paste the emails, and we'll send you those to all the parents. Get that out. I'll also get a welcome letter. If you want to use something as a shelf, you'd rather not recreate the wheel. I'll get you something, that you can use as a template. Just change the names, right? Get that out to you. What we're going to ask is that you get confirmation from parents that they've received your email by next Friday. So, again, we're tasked with communicating with 90-some of you all, and then we're asking you to do the next step and, please contact your 10. The worst thing is we have, and parents get uptight, because what'll happen is, I'll send it out, and, Bill's going to send, I'll send it at 7:30. By 7:36, his parents will have it, right? Well, their parents are going to talk to the other ones in the neighborhood. It's well, I signed up for LFE Hoops. I didn't hear anything. There's a bunch of that stuff that'll go on, and we'll field a certain amount of that. But if we could ask you, we're already asking a lot, but top thing is communicate. If you all can just be, our communication to the parents and stuff like that, everything will run, pretty smoothly. That's probably the biggest thing in the volunteer coaching. Communication, it doesn't matter necessarily if you have a tremendous rich history of basketball. It's not important. The communication is more important. Just getting back to somebody, it just makes them feel at ease. And really honestly is what sets us apart from where our roots came from in terms of PRBL. We'd have a question, send it out, and then it'd be crickets, right? And, you know, we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. We want to get back to people, not that we're always going to, you know, do everything that people want us to do, but at least if we communicate with them, we'll be taking that step in the right direction. One further thing on communication, if you all as coaches, you know, and we'll pull together divisions so that you all have a chance to meet each other. But if you all work together and act as if you're coaching all the players on the floor or at your practice, you have that mindset, we're going to get this program really to where it needs to be. The best I can remember, you know, a number of times, like our first year, you know, be coaching with Chris, and, you know, we just talked before a game, like, all right, well, my top player's out. You know, who can your top player match up against with mine? You know, or I've got a full squad today. Like, you know, there's nothing that'll derail a game quicker than just a terrible matchup. You know, like Colleen, if I'm matching up with Colleen, she's going to take me down low every time. You know, we probably need somebody like Dave to cover her, right? So, but anyway, the more that you guys can communicate together, just the better, you know, just the better off we're going to be. Gosh, I can't say Mark anymore because he's not a part of the program. All right, so practices. So at this point, we've communicated. You all have an hour of gym time. I will say this: all second and third grade teams are going to have another team at their practice. So it'll be shared practices, which will actually be a great thing. 4, 5, 6, 7 in high school, unless you're at this school or Penn Rin, most likely you have a spot to yourself for now. So I will say this, you have it by yourself for now, that's what the schedule is, but as we transition into no school November, as I like to call it, you'll probably have company. We'll let you know, and everything like that. And if you'll work with me a little bit here or there, I'd appreciate it, just because there might be a time where I reach out to you to say, hey, would you mind moving your practice back a little bit or something like that. With the one problem with, I love the fact that all the 2-3 teams are together, but if we get one, you know, gym cancellation or whatever, then that's 2 teams that I need to try to find a practice home for. And there's not much left in terms of free gym time, unfortunately. So, you know, and I can't really have them practice at like 8, 9 o'clock. So there could come a time where I'm like, you know, please, can you see it in your heart to move your practice back from like 7 to 8? But we're always trying to do what's best for all the teams. Practice, so yeah, like I was saying. So you'll deal with me in terms of practice times. What I'm going to do is I will give you any notice I have on cancellations. I will also give you any notice I have in terms of you know, school closures, cancellations, what have you, and I'll get that information out to you. I'll also be in touch with, we have this open gym time this week, and work with you on scheduling makeups or whatever, or if you want to try to grab a second hour or something like that. You know, good luck, but I'll do that. You know, I'll send that out basically like each week, like, hey, we have these times open. I'm always going to contact the ones who are missing their practice first, you know, to try to get them, you know, lined up. But I will be communicating that. And then just a quick thing, as Ryan was saying, gym time is really precious. We're guests, you know, in all of these schools. We can't afford to not be good guests. So, I mean, I don't want to be hard here, but I kind of have to be hard here. Like, we've got to, as a coach, honestly, my expectation is that if you're the one, but actually at the end of your practice, take a quick look around the gym. Like, is there anything, you know, are there any papers here? Are there any drinks there? You know, let's be the good tenant. Let's not be, you know, ones where the secretary is contacting Ryan, like, oh, there was all this water spill, or for some reason the bathrooms were a mess. I will put it out there, if you're practicing at Quarry Hill, there's just a different level of expectation there than there are in other gyms. I don't know how else to put it, but if you just do us the favor, get your parents involved in this too, and just be like, you know, we've got to preserve what we have. We've just got to take really, really, really good care of.
We had to like document
the shape that we left the gym in last year, like with pictures and stuff like that. So, not trying to freak you out, but again, there's a teachable moment in there also for the kids. Like you take what you brought, you spilled it, you clean it up. Like that's just good citizenship. That's how it goes.
So with that being said, like Ryan said, I just wanted to echo, thanks so much for volunteering your time. It is great to see so many familiar faces and new faces here, and this group gets bigger every year. You know, next year we might have to spill over into 2 bleachers, and that would be a great thing. That would be a great thing. So, thanks.
All right, real quick, just going to ask you to stand up right where you are for a second. We'll take a quick little break because you've been sitting for about 25 minutes. We do this at school too, just to get people up and not, sitting anymore. Ready? Real quick, I say this to my kids at school all the time. They read the student code of conduct book, or they don't read it, but they always sign it. I always tell them, it says in there, no weapons, there's no guns allowed at school. So this little exercise is called no guns allowed. Right? So you're in a school with no guns allowed. Right? So put your thumb up, one thumb up, your other index finger out. All right? Now when I say switch, you're going to switch like that. But look, no guns allowed. Some of you we haven't even been formally introduced yet. It would not be my point to point a gun that's made of your fingers at me. Ready? Here we go. Switch. 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 Switch.
Smelter's getting it perfect, isn't he?
Switch.
I know you're getting it perfect. I know you.
He's got the Glock pointed at him.
Yeah.
Switch. All right, check it out. We'll try one more. Also, like the movie theater, it's good to no cell phones, like turn your cell phones off. So we'll go no cell phones allowed. So pinky out, thumb up. All right, and then again when we switch, you'll go switch, 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 switch. All right, so ready? Switch. 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 All right, check it out. You guys can see it.
I won't even try it.
I'll tell you what I tell the kids.
I've seen him do this too many times in camp.
I always tell the kids, listen, I do like first and late school, and then we continue it until they get good at it. I always tell them, listen, if you had a hard time with it, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with your hands. The problem is actually your brain. So they oh my gosh. So I would tell them first day of school, like, hey, you go home and tell your parents, what'd you do at school today? Well, I found out there's something wrong with my brain. Just watch them nod in agreement, like, yeah. I know. I've known for several years now. There's something terribly wrong with your brain. If you go through the rules and policies that are there, I'm gonna fly through them very quickly because I want to get you on the floor and practicing as soon as possible. But some things that we need to cover with that. The last page of that will be helpful to you, depending on what division you coach in. The rules are slightly modified at times, depending on how long quarters are, timeouts that you get, even in 2-3, the number of girls that we're going to put on the floor and things like that. So we kind of go from biddy ball, where they play 3-on-3 on an 8-foot hoop with 27-inch balls. And we continue to kind of bump them up. And once they get to 4 or 5, and the reason why the 4 or 5 division is so challenging is because it's real basketball for the first time, and they're kind of held responsible for all the rules and things like that. So that's why that 4 or 5 division ends up being tough. That's why Colleen is important to us, because she puts out all those fires. But just if you take a look at that, that will kind of be your guide. And ultimately, because this is a recreational basketball league or a developmental basketball league, as it is really, there are always rules that are not really rules that we put into play because we have to protect kids. And part of us protecting kids, it happens in a couple of ways. We protect them competitively, from a competitive standpoint, but we need to actually protect them physically at times also. So as you look through some of the rules there, you'll see that there are some things in play where, again, these things are not rules of basketball. Dr. Naismith didn't think of these things when he put the peach basket up. So just some things to be aware of. The big sticking point always in the 4, 5, 6, 7, and the high school division is the idea of, and the wording of all this has been changed, and I'm going to ask you to hold true to the wording, the idea that there's no trapping. Now, in years past, we've talked about no double teaming. The problem with saying no double teaming is it's incredibly ambiguous, and a lot of people who don't really understand defensive basketball don't have any don't have any construct for dealing with the idea that just because you see two girls around the ball doesn't mean that a double team is happening. So if you look at that and read that section, that's one of the sections that I'll point you to and ask you to actually read the section at some point, because where it says no trapping, it's important that you understand, because it's the biggest thing that our referees deal with in terms of complaints from coaches, complaints from parents and things like that. And it's one of those things that we need to make sure everybody is extremely clear on. So here's the idea. We want our kids to play help defense, okay? And we'll talk about how you get the kids to play help defense as we get into practice. So you don't want your kids, Costanza, we come out here for you. You don't want our kids chasing girls around. Throw that ball to Mike up top. All right? You're on offense, all right? So, of course he is. All right, so look, if we have girls playing defense like this is, again, for two things here. One, in terms of us teaching them how to play this game, this is horrific defense, all right? This is terrible defense. So if you're chasing your girl, if you're off the ball, you're chasing your girl all over the court, you're playing terrible defense. Now, here's the problem. When we put you here and tell you you're in the right spot, someone who doesn't really have a whole lot of background with basketball, maybe an aunt, an uncle, or a grandparent who came to watch the games, will scream and yell and say, "You're playing zone defense!" No, we're not, because he cut through. Alright? Because when he cuts through, I'm going to go with him. Alright, and as he cuts through, I'm going to leave him. Now, if I was playing zone defense, when he cut through, I would have stayed right here. Alright? That's not what we're doing. Okay? So, again, there's a lot of things that go into this, and a lot of it is just the teaching of proper defense, which we'll talk about. And if you go to our YouTube channel, which I'm going to point you to consistently, there's a lot of stuff about how to get them to play correct defense on there. But the idea with this idea of no trapping is that you can step to help. We encourage the girls to step to help. We need them to step and help, because the idea is, it's not I have to stop my girl from scoring, it's I got to protect my basket. I have to protect the basket. So the idea with no trapping is that if you step to help and then you stay and it results in a trap, I don't even want the referees to blow the whistle then. Because much like soccer, if a foul happens, but the offense benefits from the foul, like we have a girl here who's got two girls on her, but guess what? The girl who's strapping her, the offensive player's under the basket, and she whistles the pass to her on the block and she scores, then we go crazy. Everybody goes crazy with excitement, because this girl just stared a double team right in the face and was calm enough to find the open girl, because if there's two on me, somebody's open. Now, referees, I don't want the referees to call anything. 2 points. That's how it goes. Now, if it happens that this girl's here and she's trapped and she throws it and it gets tipped and we lose the ball, referees will blow the whistle at that point, because the defense was at an advantage. The offense gained no advantage from the trap. All right, does that make sense? At least
let the amazing happen.
In the basic sense.
Let the amazing happen.
Yeah,
even if it only happens one time, right? Because think about it. You're thinking to yourself right now when he said she whistles a pass all the way underneath the basket and we get a dunk, and you're like, yeah, but come on. I mean, maybe once or twice. Yeah, but if that happens one time. That could carry on. I know for me, if I made a play like that, even that one time, that carries through a year. Yeah, but remember that time when we scored that basket? Stuff that we want to let happen.
The other time that you should never expect it to be called is, this happens, shot, miss, offensive rebound, miss, offensive rebound, miss, offensive rebound, miss, offensive rebound, miss. All 10 girls are in the lane. All 10 girls are standing there. If one of the girls who's standing in the lane grabs the rebound, and there's 4 girls surrounding her, no one in the gym should be yelling, "It's a trap, she's not trapping her!" No, they're defending our basket, all right? Because if the girl is here, I do want pretty much all 5 girls standing right here and keeping her from scoring. So again, some of these things are very common sense, and some of these things that sometimes the words get in the way. And what we're trying to do with kind of the redefinition of the rule is to make sure that the words aren't the issue. All right? Ultimately, if you have an issue and you're not sure on it, clarify it with the ref in private and quietly so that it can be dealt with. Because again, we'll get to the part where we talk about parent conduct and coach conduct and stuff like that. at no point at any time should there be anybody on your sideline as one of your coaches or from your fans yelling at anyone. There should be no yelling of anything to anyone ever, unless you're cheering like crazy for a made basket or something like that, or a great effort, something like that. So that's one of the big things. Also new this year, in our 4-5 division, we are not going to allow ball screens. So this is a decision that was very highly debated among the directors, and the reality is that we can run offense without setting a ball screen. We can run phenomenally great offense without running ball screens. My 8th grade travel team, when they were 7th graders, won ICBA's championship without setting a single ball screen the entire year.
Won the middle school championship.
It's
last
very,
year.
very possible. Yeah, our William Penn team last year won the middle school championship without setting a single ball screen. And they're playing against a much higher level of defense and competition than what you're going to see. So it's incredibly possible to do that. So at the 6, 7, and high school levels, please be aware that those things are going to be called incredibly tightly. If arms are up here, it's a foul. Because in my personal experience of refereeing, I've seen way too many instances where somebody, and inevitably, the coach will send one of his girls who he doesn't really value as an offensive player all that much, who tends to be like one of the bigger girls on the floor. They run at the ball, and they decapitate the girl who's guarding the ball, and she just crumbles to the ground with a head injury. All right? And again, it's not really an exaggeration on my part. It's something that I've seen over and over and over and over again at in-house games. And again, we play man-to-man defense here on the middle school campus. The number of girls that we have injured every year because other teams don't have any other way to play offense than to decapitate our girls with ball screens is astounding. So for the sake of player safety, all right, and for the sake of the fact that it's not 100% necessary, no ball screens at all in 4-5, and again in 6-7. Here's the issue: it takes really, 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 really long time to master all the dynamics of setting screens. It takes forever, and honestly, you don't really have that much practice time. You don't have enough time. People are like, oh, it's just an easy way to get us space. It's not an easy way. It's one of the most complicated things in all basketball. Screen and roll basketball is the most complicated thing in all basketball. There's roughly 70 different ways that a screen can be handled, both offensively and defensively. So, again, the argument that, well, it's just an easy way to get space. It's not an easy way to get space. A lot of times you're dealing with novice ball handlers, and you're taking 2 additional players and bringing 2 additional players into the space of a girl who's not comfortable dealing with the ball by herself in space. So it's not really the best thing for them developmentally, in our opinion. Right? So just be aware that we kind of have sort of drawn the line in the sand on that a little bit, and our referees are going to be asked to be very, very, very strict about, in our older divisions, about calling those things. And in the 4-5 division, it will be automatic. It'll be an automatic foul. It'll be a one-shot technical foul. It'll be a one-shot technical foul, and the offense or the defense will get the ball. Right? So again, that's a player safety thing. And also, it's a matter of us being sure that you're using your time at practice wisely. Because if you're spending 25 minutes on setting ball screens, that's 25 minutes that you could be doing something else that we think is more valuable than that. Just other things, we'll talk about solutions, like what are some solutions to not setting ball screens. We'll talk about it, and we'll go, dribble handoffs are a nice solution to not setting ball screens. The other thing that you're going to have to do, and this will be part of our drill work tonight, you have to teach them to back cut everything. Anytime that their defender overplays them, it's got to get back cut. And if you don't know what that means, we'll talk about it tonight. But essentially, anytime that this girl is face to face with her, she's got to get back cut. And what happens is, when that girl gets back cut, the whole side of the floor is open in terms of your space, and now you can actually get there. Come to demonstrate.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So if I'm covering Ryan, right?
I got to plant this open and attack the basket. And again, if our spacing is what it's supposed to be, I'm going to catch here with a chance to score. Once Coach Mike realizes that, oh wait, my girl just flew here, right? And he comes with me. All of that space that I was just in, it's all open now for the ball handler. So again, it can be done. It can be done. We're going to ask you to focus on it and make that back cutting layer of offense part of what you do at practice all the time. All right? So that's that. Climbing in the gyms, it's super important to us. I will write several thousand-word plus emails about this during the course of the year. All right? Here's how it works, and it's relatively simple. The players play, the coaches coach, the officials referee, and the fans cheer. That's it. That's the whole transaction of how these sporting events are supposed to go. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Nothing makes me more upset than being in the gym and hearing 300 people yelling at 7, 8, and 9-year-olds and telling them, shoot, pass, dribble it, ah! Like, literally, again, last year, my daughter played in the 2-3 division. I had a girl on my team who brought the ball across midcourt. We're at ER. She brought the ball across midcourt. She stopped right here. Now, she stopped her dribble. Grandmom is here. 75 other people are here. And again, I'm telling her, find a teammate. I'm telling her, find a teammate. I'm her coach. There's 15 people in the stands yelling 15 different directions, some of which include shoot it, some of which include dribble it, which she knows that she can't dribble it, and but everyone is just repeating the directions over and over and over again. You know what she did? She went like this, and she cried. She cried. And I went over to him like, yo, what's up? What's the matter? She's like, everyone's yelling at me, and I have no idea what to do. Right? So, if I take anything seriously about what we do with this program, this is the thing to me that I take more seriously than anything else. Particularly because my dad coached me most of the time. When he did not coach me, he coached me the entire time, screaming at me from the stands, threatening me from the stands. My dad told me one time during a soccer game that he was going to kill me at the end of the game. I was super excited for it to end, as you can well imagine. All right, so again, it's really important, and I'm going to ask you as the coach and as the person who's in charge, that if you have this issue with your fans coaching from the stands, if you would just walk over and just politely ask them, hey, we got it. We got it. Right? Because the truth is that if you want to sit and coach, then they should be here tonight. They should be here tonight. So that's one of those things that is super important in terms of how we separate ourselves from everybody else that does youth sports. I just got done coaching a season of fall softball and had to have the conversation with my parents at least 10 times. They're like, listen, sorry, it's hard. I know that it's hard. That's why when my kid's playing and I'm not coaching them, I go stand as far away as possible. And I pace, and I drive myself crazy. My sister-in-law is here, she'll tell you. She knows what I do. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right? And again, like Mike said, you're the first line of defense with that. All right? And our referees should also be reinforcing, like, hey, the coaches are over there. You guys are just fans. Cheer. You guys are just fans. All right? Any questions about that? All right. Last thing that I have. You set the tone. You set the tone. Your interactions with the officials, get to know the referees' names. Typically, they're the same people every week. All right. You should be on a very pleasant back and forth relationship with them, where if you have an issue, you can go and hey, Nelson, come here. Can we talk about something real quick? All right. You should be able to do that with the officials because, again, everyone's here for the same reason. We want the girls to have the best experience possible. And we need you to set that tone, because if you start to complain and whine and puff about every call, guess who's next? Your parents. Guess who's next? Your kids. All right? And if you want your kids challenging authority figures on decisions that they make, then we have to have another conversation that is completely different than this one. Because if that's what you're hoping for out of your kids, that your kids challenge authority figures about the decisions that they make, then we're not on the same page. Because to me, if my kid even looks sideways at me, she knows what's going to happen next. Her ears are going to be ringing. So that's how things work, you know, for the most part with me in my house. And again, I don't know how you handle your kids and things like that, but at my house, when I was growing up, that wasn't tolerated. I looked sideways at my old man, I'd be lucky to be able to sit down for the next 2 weeks. So, again, please set that tone where you're not going to allow the whining and the moaning and the complaining. Our referees do the very best job that they possibly can. They don't have a dog in the race. They don't. So they're there for the same reason as you. All right? Lastly, in terms of your attitude toward the girls, hopefully you're here because you love kids. If you like working with kids, this is why we're here. All right? You don't really need to have this great basketball background. If you like working with kids and you like being around young people, that's what it's about. This is a leadership opportunity for you. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to try your patience. You're going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 kids who aren't going to follow a single direction the whole entire season. All right? And how you respond to them will basically decide whether or not they keep playing basketball. And the thing is that if you do it with a smile, if you do it while being firm and you're consistent with them, they'll get it. They'll get it. We have squirrely kids. Everybody's got them. All right? So just meet that with, you know, lots of energy.
I think I have one that lives in my house.
I think you do. I don't know where he gets it.
Yeah.
All right, so ultimately, find something to make it special. If it's you know, you go to Five Below and you buy a little basketball and you give out the game ball every week. Like, stuff like that is stuff that the kids remember. Some of the girls will show up just for that. They'll show up just because of that, all right? Start a little snack thing where you guys, you know, where you get your parents to bring snacks every week, all right? The kids will come for that. You'll have some kids who show up like, hey, what's for snack today? First question, what's for snack? Rice Krispie treats. What's that? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we gotta get them out of the gym. So again, just make it enjoyable. That's really the number one goal. And listen, we ask a lot of our coaches, we do, but I don't think that there's anybody else who supports our coaches as much as we do either. We're gonna ask you to do things a certain way, and we're gonna ask you to hold to that because we think it's the best way, and because we think that it's the best thing for the girls. Ultimately, we want to teach them how to play, and teach them how to be a teammate, teach them how to have fun doing this. So, when it comes right down to it, if you need help with that, there's people in the room that will validate. If you email me and you want to talk basketball, I'll do it all day long. Same line. You email me, the clock starts running in my head. After 10 minutes, my anxiety starts to get to me. Like, I feel like I need to check my email and write back because that's just how I am. So if you want to talk, you have questions, you have concerns, you have problems, we love talking hoops. We love talking hoops more than anything. Ask my wife, she knows. And so we also have resources for you. If you go on our YouTube channel, which I'll follow up with you tomorrow with an email about all the resources that we have for you. We bought a program that's called Skill Development Coach. Each one of the division directors has a login for you. You can go on. There's drills on there. There's all kinds of stuff for you to use. All right. So again, there are some things that we're going to ask you to do, and we're serious about those things that we ask you to do. But at the same time, if you're not sure how to do them and you need help, there's nobody who's going to reach out to you, and no one's going to say no to you if you reach out and say, hey, I need help. I have practices Monday nights at Hope and Thursday nights here. You're welcome to come here anytime. Coach Costanzo and I coach in the middle school. We're here every day from 3 to 5, from now until mid-January. You want to check out a practice, you want to stop by, it just takes an email. There's not a chance in the world that will say no. So the door is literally opened, always, right? So again,
What we want to do is I want to get a website together, and I started it this afternoon. It's going to have everything that we have for you. Practice plans. Every day I run a practice here at William Penn. I'm going to try to get one plan up from every single day that I practice. So the goal should be to have close to 60, 70 different plans on our website that you can access at any time. All right, the website is kind of a mess when it comes to stuff that you can use, but I'm trying to get it all in one location for you. All the videos, all the practice plans, all of the contact information, the skill development coach, the blog site, the YouTube. We write a blog that nobody reads. It's awesome. I mean, we have stuff on there from 3 years ago. It's 10,000 words on the helpline. I got an email from some guy in Florida the other day. I think 6 people have looked at it, but we write it we write 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 every single year. Nobody reads the stuff, but we just like doing it. So we're gonna have all that stuff in one location. When he reaches out to you for that email, hopefully by then that website will be together, so then you have that all in one spot. So then if you feel uncomfortable reaching out to us about a question, hopefully it's on there. That's the hope. I started it today, it probably shouldn't take me much longer to get it.
All right, we're going to practice now. We're going to try to get like a 60-minute practice in 20 minutes, which is not going to happen, but I have the practice plan. It's here and ready to go. So listen, if you want to get up and move around and do this, I would encourage you to do it, because obviously part of teaching and part of coaching is showing you. All right, so the idea here is that if I tell you how to do it, you might kind of get the idea. But if I show you how to do it and then you also actually do it, then hopefully when it comes time for you to get to practice, you can demonstrate some of this stuff and show it. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty. All right, it doesn't have to be pretty. There's a running joke among my 8th graders that almost every time I demonstrate something, I miss. And I would say, and go in and miss a layup. I just say it now, and go miss a layup. So it's kind of a running joke where I make fun of myself and stuff like that, and it's all good. All right, you can leave your practice plan on the bleachers if you want to. If you want to take it with you, you're going to need your hands to obviously handle the ball and stuff like that. But here's what we're going to do. Ready? First on the list, I'm going to ask you to spread out on the sideline there. We'll probably need to make like as many lines as you can, but let's go like 10 lines and then we'll fill in behind. All right? Ready?